What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Dad Does Videos. We got another one coming at you today. We are going to replace the fill valve in my Toto Drake toilet right here with this new Fluidmaster 400H002 fill valve. And you're probably wondering why I'm doing this. This is a couple years old, and ever since we've installed it, there's been like a little thud in it when it completely refills. And in talking to a lot of people, apparently this isn't my problem solely. This happens in a variety of other Toto Drakes as well. We have two other ones. They're 12-inch rough ends. This one's a 10-inch one, so 10 inches away from the wall. I don't know why this one does it and the other ones don't, but we're going to see if we can try to fix it today by using this Fluidmaster fill valve to replace the one that's already in here. Okay, so the first step here before you do anything else is to turn the water off to your toilet. Now, in most households, you're gonna have the supply right next to the toilet. All you have to do is simply turn that clockwise until it's closed. If you don't have that, you might have to go down and find your supply, turn off to the actual whole house and turn that off. Okay, the next step is to flush your toilet. So this is gonna reduce the water level in your tank right here. And remember, since we turned off the water supply, there's no water going back in. And as you can see, there's a little bit of water left in there, so I'm gonna open this and get any extra water that comes out. And there's still gonna be probably an inch or so left, so what you can do is just get a big sponge in there and soak it all up, or a bunch of rags, even a wet dry vac to vacuum out the water if you'd like. So that is all that's going to come out, and as you can see here, like I said, there's maybe an inch or so of water in there, so I'm just going to get that out. And this is really all we're doing. We're using this old kind of dish towel because I couldn't find a big sponge to soak up all the water, but you can see here it's almost all gone. And what I've been doing is just putting this in here, kind of getting it down in there so it soaks up all the water around here and just wringing it out. And that's just unfortunately the process you have to go through when you forget to have a big sponge, and that's a lot easier. Okay, so once you've gotten all that water out of your tank, you're gonna move along to disconnecting the supply line that runs from the shutoff valve from your wall to your tank right here. And the way you do that, you just unscrew this piece right here. You might get a little water that drips out of here, and that's why we have this little bowl down here to catch anything that drips. Okay, as you can see here, our supply line is removed from the tank. The next thing you're gonna do is remove this gray piece right here, and that's a nut. So this will basically allow us to remove the fill valve that's in here right now. So you're just gonna turn this nut counterclockwise, lefty-loosey, right, to remove. Okay, after you get that nut off, what you're gonna do now is remove the hose right here and take off the whole thing because it's connected. There's a little clip right here. You want that off too. So you just pull up just like that and then lift the actual fill valve out as well. It should come out pretty easily since it's not connected on there anymore, just like that. Okay, so you've got your new fill valve ready to go in, and you simply, guess what, insert this right where the old one went. Put that in there for now, and we're just gonna get our bearings here to make sure everything fits the right way. So just kind of lay that in there right now while we do some measuring and see where we need to go next. Okay, so the next step here is to measure 3 inches above your overflow pipe, and that's this thing right here. So what needs to happen is the top of your fill valve needs to be 3 inches above your overflow pipe. So in looking at my overflow pipe, 3 inches above it, it is pretty close. What I think I'm gonna have to do, it might be like a ½ an inch off or something like that. I am going to have to adjust this to make this go down a little bit, and it's not gonna be a problem, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so here's how you adjust. If you want more height to yours, you twist this to the left. I need to make mine go down, so I'm going to twist to the right. Don't touch this thing. You have to hold above it and just twist. And that's how you make, you can already see it start to shrink a little bit, and that's how you adjust the height of your fill valve. Okay, so we've adjusted the height of our fill valve. It is about 3 inches higher than the overflow tube right here. So what we do next, this is one of the 2 extra pieces that you have. This is the clamp it's another version basically of the clamp that we took off before, but we're gonna put the new one on. And just so you're aware, so you can see, it's 2 pieces here. So this will go on the outside and this goes on the inside. This part goes on the inside of the tube. Just like so. And obviously you can put that wherever you want, so it makes sense in your toilet. Okay, so the next step is to just connect your tube here to the slot of the connector that you just put on your overflow tube. And I think I got a little bit lucky. What a lot of people have to do, they might have to cut this and trim this back so it's not like jammed up at the top of the tank, but mine's gonna fit on perfectly well just right here. The length is gonna work, so I'm just gonna put that on. In worst case, I come back, and if it's not seeming to fit on right, I can just cut it back later. Okay, so we've got this kind of dry fit in here. This is a little bit wobbly because we haven't locked it in place, but you can see my tube's connected. And the other piece that came in your box is the nut that attaches underneath your tank, the fill valve to the tank. So we're just gonna go back underneath. Remember, we took off a gray one of these before to get the other fill valve out, but now we're going to use this new piece to attach the fill valve back onto this tank. Okay, so once you have that nut on underneath here, you simply reattach your supply line, right, and just twist. I should note that regardless of whether it's this right here or the nut that we put on, we're just hand tightening. You don't need any tools at all. So don't break out the tools. Hand tightening is perfectly fine and good enough because you don't want to break any of these if you're starting to use tools. So hand tighten as much as you can. Okay, and now we are going to turn the water on, hope for no leaks, and see how high the level of water goes in the bowl. Remember. Okay, so our water has filled the tank as high as it can go, and the water level right here is supposed to be about a ½ inch away from the top of your overflow tank. And I know it's probably hard to see, but we're more like an inch or so. So what you can do if you need your water level to rise is, let me kind of zoom in on this right here. This device right here, you can see if you twist it to the left, it takes the water level down. If you twist it to the right, it takes the water level up. So we are just going to do that. And that looks about right. It's a little difficult to see, but we're right about a ½ inch. So we solved that issue. So I just flushed again to see if the water level would come up to the right size or the right spot on the overflow tube after we reset it. So it should stop any second here. Right there. Perfect. Okay, so the last step here is to check the water level in the actual bowl to make sure it's at the right level. So the first thing you want to do is get a pencil and make a mark just above the water line. Like that. And then you want to get a gallon of water. Now, when you pour the water in, you want to do it slowly so your toilet does not flush. Because if you pour it in too quickly, the toilet will flush, and you don't want that to happen. You want to be able to flush it by hand. So we're just going to do this really slowly, and we'll come back with you. And so now, what you've got that water in there from the gallon, we flush it, and we're gonna see where the water comes up to when it fills the bowl. Okay, so our fill valve just stopped, and that is almost right on target. The water level might be a centimeter or two higher than my pencil mark, but I'm not gonna mess with it because that's close enough. Now, if my water level went above the pencil mark, that means there's too much water in the bowl. If it went below the pencil mark, that means there's not enough water in the bowl. So the way that you adjust water in the bowl is this blue dial right here. You add water to the bowl by twisting to the left here, as you can see by the arrow. You remove water from the bowl by twisting it to the right, as you can see by this arrow and the minus sign. And you give it a little adjustment, and you flush the toilet, and you kind of keep going through that procedure to make sure that the water hits your line when the toilet stops filling. And then the final step, of course, is putting the top of your tank back on. It would help if I took out the nut from the previous valve too, but we're all set and ready to roll. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. As you can see, this was really not too challenging to replace the fill valve on my toilet. And guess what? I tested it. There is no thud after the bowl stops filling, so it solved my problem. I also wanted to give kind of a shout out to Fluidmaster itself. Usually you get these things, regardless of the home improvement project that you're doing, and the directions are really, really hard to follow. But guess what? These are actually really good, and they start, give you a quick snapshot, even by turning off your water first. So even before we get into the nuts and bolts of the actual installation of the fill valve, they're telling you exactly what to do at your house. And this is the same thing all the way through. They do a really nice job of this with pictures, easy to follow instructions throughout.